Hey everybody, it's JD. Welcome to Golden, guys. Thank you for being a friend. Welcome to Tuesday. It's been a busy week already going on, so I hope everybody's having a good week. I see we had some people waiting in the chat. Thank you very much. We're waiting on a few people to join us, but we figured we might as well start a little bit early or late, but a little bit before everybody got here. Of course, I've got James from DS Comics right here.
What's up?
And, of course, Paul from Midwest Comic Man himself, who did a great job pressing some of my books. I do appreciate it, and I might recommend everybody check him out. He does a good job, good turnaround, and
when I'm not dying.
When he's not sick. But it's all good. He's very good there. So thanks, everybody, for joining us here. We were just talking just before about a book that we saw today. And there's a collector out there who's going for 7 5s in every pre-code horror. And it reminds me of some of the things we talked about in the Golden Age. There are people with crazy desires, crazy lists. Not to plug last night's show, but crazy lists or crazy niches like elephants or something.
Yeah, I was going to say there's some weirdo who goes for all the elephant books.
Yeah. Tuck it in the right cap. But there's people with some really expensive, crazy ones. I mean, I've heard a few in the Silver Age. Every Spider-Man from 1 to 30, all the Ditko on 33, 32, whichever one was the last one. Whoever the last Ditko is all in a 9.0.
Yeah,
the guy's almost there.
It was like 38, maybe?
Yeah, it's something like that. Yeah, it's like the last Steve Ditko Spider-Man. And that was the one he wanted everyone in a 9.0, and he's got a lot. I've run into him on the boards and stuff. But in the Golden Age, we just heard of a guy who wants every major pre-code horror, or let's just say a pre-code horror in a 7.5. Is that about right?
Yeah, I mean, this guy is he's a pre-code horror collector almost exclusively. Sort of like me. I look up to his whenever I want some ideas. I look at his collection, but he shoots for 7.5. on all his stuff. And when you get into pre-code horror, 7.5, even if it's not the highest grade, is super expensive. That's a really high grade for those books. But then some of them, the highest grade is 7.5. And some of them he has an 8 if that's what came up. So there's some guys that like the highest graded copies, and that's good if you're rich because that stuff's expensive. Yeah. But I mean, you see 7.5s. That guy's got a full Blue Bolt, LB Cole Blue Bolt run, and he has a 7.5 or better in all of them. And it's majorly impressive. I think he said it took him 10 years to finish that run because of the grades that he was. But I mean, that's why I go for like 2.5, 3.0. I mean, I'll get some 4.0s or something if it comes up, but. I mean, you can go crazy high grades on Golden Age if you have the money, but you got to wait a long time. Like it took him 10 years to complete a run of 18 books because he wanted super high grades.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, that's there's people that are committed to. We talked about another guy who his goal is to get, I think it's like 15 or 20 of the highest grade, highest on the census graded, and he's a trip because he will if he sees someone get a 9.6 and. He immediately tries to go after that book, and he does, and he's good, and he's one of the classic guys in this game. I mean, I think all of us, at least I know I bought from him. DS, I'm pretty sure you bought from this guy. So, just one of a Golden Age dealer out there. If you see him on in Instagram, but just look for like the pre-code horror guys or the guys doing some Golden Age. So Knights,
I'm here.
How are you?
Here.
Yeah, I like the background. You moved.
I just changed stuff around, I guess, a lot.
It's crazy. Good. So we were just talking about guys with real expensive or off the wall niches or something they want and or they're collecting, and it's pretty crazy if you think about it because some of these guys are like 7.5 only in a pre-code horror. I don't know if you ever encountered anybody with a crazy, high grade.
Well, I see them all the time on the CGC forums.
That's where I used to tell them I see these guys. Yeah.
I remember back in had to be the early 90s. Diamond Gallery started advertising in all the magazines. They wanted to rebuy every copy of the Mile High collection and put it back together as one whole collection. And I mean, it was doomed to fail from the start.
That won't happen. Yeah. Actually, one of the things we would talk about this week, I think I showed these guys something you don't see every day. One of my normal good mornings to the Golden Age guys was something, and Edgar Church, I forget what it was, $1,200. I forget what it was. Was it the Witchcraft? I don't know. It was a really nice one. No, it wasn't Witchcraft. It was.
I mean, even back then they were offering like 10 times guide for them, but nobody was taking it because they're like, everybody who has an Edgar Church Mile High is like, I'm keeping it.
Yeah. Oh, here it is. The Blue Beetle.
Oh yeah.
7.5.
You know, there's a few things I don't do, and it's not because I don't have the money, but even if I wanted to do them, I couldn't because I don't have the money. But if I had the money, I still wouldn't do them, and that's pedigrees from a collection of somebody or highest graded copies. You know, Mile High copies are cool, but I mean, yeah, I mean, it's cool to own that, but you got to shell out a hell of a lot of money to get a Mile High copy of something that you can get for a fraction of the cost if you just want the book. It's, you know, for me, it's not worth that premium. But then again, if you have, you know, if you're swimming in money and you just want that, you know, maybe it'd be cool to have like, I forget, it might have been Bubs Comics said this would be a cool one to own, like a Ghost Rider, like a Marvel Spotlight 5 from Nicolas Cage collection, because he played.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
Yeah, or something like a pre-code horror.
The Western Pen is my of that era. The bronze. I go for the Western Pen's pedigree and Savannah because of there's something special about those. Those minor pedigrees that I like. You know, everybody.
You know, when Frank Frazetta passed, there was a lot. His family sold he had, and one of the few times I thought it'd be cool to have something from a collection would be to have like some low grade beat pre-code horror comic from Frank Frazetta's collection that you can see that he bought because he liked it, not because it was valuable and he read it and it was still raw and then they ended up getting it slabbed or whatever. That would be cool. But for the most part, Mile High stuff, it's sort of like in any other walk of life, there's status symbols. I wouldn't buy a high-end Mercedes either because I just don't like them. But there's certain status symbols. And in the comic hobby, a lot of times the highest graded copy or a Mile High copy or something like that, it's more of a status symbol. And, you know, that's not for me, but I get it. You know, if you have the money and you want to, you know, have top-notch something cool that nobody else has, Mile High copy or the highest graded is cool, I guess.
I'd love to get one, just some like cheapo comic, but from the Mile High collection, and just see what it's like. I mean, see if it's that awesome or whatever, you know.
I know everybody who's actually been in the present say they have a very distinct smell, and they have, you know, the pages are just as white as the day they came out.
That's why I like the Western Pen. It's like a poor man. It's just white. It's known for pristine pages and corners. That's what it's known for.
I mean,
but I've been doing that since it was before it was a pedigree, having to get some of them because that Pittsburgh collection was just amazing.
And the Okajima one is interesting too, to know that the actual book you had was in a Japanese, you know, camp or whatever they called those things in the 40s.
I know if I ever went for a pedigree book, and I think I mentioned it on the first show I was on, I would like to have a Lamont Larson one, just because it's something that can be traced back to an individual collector. Yep. And they're not, I mean, some of them are high grade, but some of them aren't so high grade, but they're, you know, they don't have as much of a premium as like the Mile High copies.
Right. I mean, there are some pedigrees that are a lot more than others. Like Western Pen and Savannah is kind of like a middle of the road one. Really high ones, obviously a Mile High. I mean, I'm trying to think of some of the big ones I've seen recently. What's the one, the golden?
There was that big PCH one.
Well, yeah, the whole Harvey collection. What was that one? All those Harveys. The pedigree, all those Harveys.
What it was.
It's a specific guy's name.
I know there's a Northford collection.
Yep, that one's 100% pre-code horror.
It has a lot, yeah, like pre-code horror.
That's
The San Francisco collection has some nice books. I think it's just called San Francisco. I don't know. It's kind of weird.
San Francisco. Yeah, there's one of those. All right, so
Mountain was a pretty big one.
Mountain, that was one, yeah.
Yeah, there's one that's more affordable because it doesn't seem like the grades are as high as the River City pedigrees, and that's the only one I owned. And the reason is not because I bought it because it was pedigree, but it was a lower grade, something I could afford. You know, usually pedigrees are high grade for the most part. But a lot of River City copies are not like sky high grades. You want to get a pedigree if you're into that, look for River City. I think Pennsylvania copies are not. They're sort of a little all over the place too, I think.
Yeah, Western Penn specific is key driven. And like there's our mega keys of that era that they're very expensive because they're the highest grade, like the highest Iron Man 1 and all that stuff, but not Tales of Suspense 1. The other
I
one.
just like getting a bonnet stamp or a date stamp.
Bonnet stamp is a great one.
Sign their name on it.
I love that one. I love seeing those. Actually, there's one on the boards this week I saw that I was like, oh, that's a good one. It was a jumbo.
It's also cool when you can meet the person who owned it, if that's ever a chance. Like recently, I bought a Wonder Woman interior on eBay, and in it was a little note, and he said like, "This was mine since the day I bought it," and all this. Like that was really cool.
Nice Providence. Yeah, I love that. That's good stuff. Really good stuff. All right, let me shout out the chat for a minute here. Buhong, how are you? Mr. Gretzky, right there. Don, Mr. Don, very good to see you. Comic Man Andy, very cool. Good having you here. We also have TJ, the Slab Dragon Watson. We've got JP's Budget Collecting, always a good guy right there, one of my favorites. Paul, you're in the chat. Very cool. We've got here Discovery Bay. We've been discovered. Bub's Comics, good seeing you. Just a Rican. Comic Rod, how are you? We've got here Knights of Old. Good having you in the chat. Evan, good having you. Definitely got to get Evan on one of these times on here. He's got Thomas Wayne. Very good. Bueller, good having you on. Thanks a lot for joining us. Thomas Wayne, he said. Oh, hang on. Marvel Hunter, very cool. We've got here. Hang on, something's wrong. Bake. There we go. Bake the Snake, very cool. And Comicsman Misexplained. Okay, so I'm not really good at shouting out the chat, and I'm done for that for now.
All right, so here, if anybody wants to see CGC recognized pedigrees, and I think CBCS might recognize, they're not identical, I think, but on the CGC website, they have a list of the pedigrees they recognize, and you can see it's.
Oh yeah, Allentown.
It's but it's not like there's probably 50 of them on there.
Cosmic Airplane had some really nice stuff.
Oh yeah.
I have the some of the good ones. I have a Defenders 10, the Hulk versus Thor. I have that Western pen. I've got a Daredevil Western pen, like a early Elektra. I got a.
I bet you have to tell them though, because.
Well, no, yeah, I have to know where I buy it from, and there's like 4 or 5 major pedigree dealers. I think her name is Joanne from Worldwide Comics. She's the one who had that book stolen at C2E2. She's got a lot of pedigree. She specializes in that. It's ridiculous. It's high, but you know they're negotiable and stuff like that. So.
Yeah, Crip and D is one of the big ones. They have a lot of Golden Age stuff.
Yeah,
Davis Crip and D copies.
Yep. So we were just talking a little bit about some pedigrees and everything else, and one of the things we've been, collecting pedigrees and everything else. Shout out to the guys, the superhero guys, for a quick second here. I've heard, now this is something where actually, I'm opening up to everybody, in the chat too. What if there was a Golden Age character arc or storyline? Would you, in the Golden Age stuff you collect, you can't say, or in the Golden Age that you would want to see done on film or in a movie, but it can't have already been done since 2000. So, all the Tarzans are out of it, all the Captain Americas are out of it. So, what would you like to see? And I'm going to start off with Paul, because he had a pretty good answer.
Well, definitely, I I would love to see Black Terror done. I'd love to see the more fun guys done, the original Sandman, Dr. Fate, stuff like that. And for a female one, Miss Fury.
Ooh, good call. That's a good one. Nice. All right, Knights, what do you think?
Well, it'd have to be Namor.
I was gonna write down. Knights is gonna say name
So like OG Bill Everett style, where he comes in and just
which
wrecks
is
everything.
which I'm gonna go on to that next part here. All right, DS, what are you thinking?
I don't know, man. I mean, I don't collect I collect exclusively non.
I know that's why if you want to,
I like werewolves and vampires. Obviously, I really want to see a new Blade movie. My Golden Age character, but that's the stuff I'm into from the Golden Age, and I really want to see a Blade movie. But as far as any of the books I own, they're not really conducive to movies. But I like horror movies, and I really want to see a Blade movie. But that's kind of a cop-out answer. But
And Evan, I was not surprised by Evan's answer. He said he would definitely go with Captain Midnight.
Ooh, that's a good call.
I still got a
I wouldn't mind seeing an Airboy. Airboy would be.
Airboy, you get Heap. Yeah. Like some of if it's jungle, it was like, do the elephants or something like that. Do like Sheena something like. Honestly, there's enough Skinemax and other things with the jungle characters. I'm pretty much.
Yeah, we could get Mr. the Moon from Planet.
Yeah, there's plenty of them, but they just haven't made it to the theaters. So, but they come up pretty good. So, Black Terror was a good call. Comics Must Explain. So that one, Sam Bradley. Sorry. I always wanted to see. It sounds weird, but the original Blue Beetle. The original costume, the original, like the first run of that would be cool. I think if it was ever done correctly,
Yeah, that's some good stuff. Oh, I do like the Spectre.
I was going to think Spectre too. The original.
I like him.
Yeah, first Ghost Rider is always one that I like westerns, and that would be really cool. Like Gold for Zeta covers, and that'd be something right there. Paul, I just shouted you out right there. That'd be a good one.
I know. I got one for DS because he's an LB Cole guy like me. Catman.
Oh yeah, that'd be good.
That'd be good.
I didn't even think of that because I don't own any Catman issues yet because
There's
There's one
ridiculously
right now
expensive.
on I think was it on the Clank? Was it on Comic Link? That was just. I'm like, slow down. There's a few that are just going crazy.
Well, there's one that I deal with all the time.
Really.
Has a really nice copy of Catman 28. That's the guy on the front with the candle and like the skulls.
Dr. Death or whatever his name is.
Yeah, I can't remember. It's
The
hard
one
to-
that I think is it Catman 9, the Pieta or 49?
Catman 31, the Wolves.
31 is the one with
he's
the wolves.
Yeah, the Wolves.
Yeah, 32 is the underwater where they're fighting the shark.
Right.
And 30 is 30's a cool book. It's
29 is the one you're thinking of.
an oil or a metal factory, like a steel factory, and there's like orange molten steel pouring out of a bucket, and it's like you can see the building. The scene is a little bit lame for a Golden Age book, but the colors are striking. It's got bright orange and bright blue, and it's got Catman on there. That one's not really high on my list, but that one's probably the easiest to get. That one's a good one.
I think that's the one that JD's talking about.
Yep.
That's
Oh,
29.
is that a PA cover? No.
Yeah. No, the one at no, he's in the like a spotlights on him.
Yeah, that's 31.
What's the deal with the candle one? Because who is that? Because it's not Catman, right? The Cole cover, probably like the best one in Catman. You know
Yeah,
what I'm talking about?
28. That's my favorite one in the run.
But who is that?
It's his name's Dr. Death. He was his big enemy. He only showed up in like 3 or 4 issues.
Pretty cool though. That cover is awesome.
Yeah, he's on the cover of a couple other of the books. He's in the background of that one, Catman 31. He's in the background of that PA top cover in the snow where the wolves are and Kit. and he's standing in the background of that.
Nice.
But yeah, 28. That's one of my Grail LB Cole Grails.
Yeah.
It's a
I think
little
that's
now, but I'll get one at some point.
There's other people put out there some Phantom Lady. Who dat? Good to see you here. Firehair, we got here. Telling me Jimmy Olsen's story before he gets shot in the head. Very cool.
Ooh, the Destroyer too would be a good if they did it like a 1940s period piece.
Okay.
It'd really be good. Timely.
Knights of the Galaxy from Mysteries in Space is another one. Phantom Lady, a very popular girl. Kelly Allen, Clairvoyant. Wow, that was you, Knights. All right.
Yeah. That's a great name.
Yeah, Clairvoyant. Yeah. A lot of Phantom Lady.
Daredevil versus the Claw is a good one.
Yeah.
How about the Shadow
There you
Done
go.
Right?
There you go. Countdown Strange continue. Daredevil versus Claw. Okay, the original Daredevil right there.
What is that Claw villain like? What is he like a monster or what is the deal with that guy? You guys know?
I
Nope.
don't know.
I don't know. We need an expert on that whole.
He's he's giant sized though.
Yeah.
And he has like an army of slaves that do his bidding, and most of them are like criminals, I think. And yeah, I don't know. I don't own enough. I haven't read up on that, so I'm not. I don't know.
It's probably one of those free comics you can find because they probably gave up on the IP.
Nice.
I think Claw makes the Daredevil books like this one I picked up. This is not the cheapest one, but these have like 3 or 4 stories in them. And this one, for instance, has a story with the Claw. You know, it's not like a super well-known, expensive, like, oh, there's that Claw story. But if, you know, random Daredevil issues in the lower numbers will have Claw appearances in a lot of them. So, you know, the ones where he's on the cover, like where he's reaching up into the skyscrapers and grabbing the car, or like, you know,
The more action shots.
yeah, those early ones are expensive, but he's in this one, and this one was only a few $100.
You know, someone mentioned the original Ghost Rider, and I think that
Curtis.
gonna be something. I think Marvel is going
That
to.
was the first one was Curtis Slade
With those fire Frazetta covers.
But I bet Marvel's going to do a Western series with like, you know, some like it'll be a origin story.
Kid.
You know, like a superhero Western era. I don't know. I could see them doing that. Something.
Yeah.
I wonder if can they bring back Ghost Rider? Do they own that?
I don't know. That would be so. If could they do the original one? Yeah. That's just you know, that would be good.
You guys want to see some Claw?
Sure.
Yeah.
Show some stuff. We got the Gerber.
All right. I posted the splash.
We got the
page
Gerber
on my Instagram. Yeah. The splash page with the Claw. So this is the last story in the book, and you know, it's several pages.
Look at DS with a raw comic book. Wow.
Well, it's not raw for long. Don't worry. But here's the rest of it. You know, so this is a Claw story. Some cool panels in there.
So he's the main guy?
This story is a Claw story. I mean, I
Wow.
haven't read it yet. I just took this out recently, like the other day.
But he's not a hero, right?
No, he's a villain.
Hmm.
But I mean, he's fighting the cops, and he's like a crime lord, something. I mean,
Ugly looking something.
it's like a crime story, and the cops are after him, but he's got gangsters and like escaped criminals working for him. The Daredevil's not in the story at all.
Weird.
Yeah, it is weird.
Good though.
How does that comic smell?
Old.
Dying.
This is a 1944, I think. 1944. And I bought it in a PGX case.
PGX,
And
right?
it was an old, like the original PGX case. And the case was scrapped. The case was like a 3.5. So, and you know, I cracked it out, and here's the PGX label. So you can see how old school label that is.
Wow.
But, yeah, I cracked it out. It was preserved pretty well in there, but it's, you know, it's still got that old smell to it. Yeah.
Some of the old books
Got that
that
smell
I've
of
gotten
hate.
from the 40s have a. I like comic smell, but I've had a few where I smell it and it's so old that I'm kind of like, this is probably bad for me to ink. It's got like this.
Black mold. Here we go.
Yeah.
a collection that I was going through with the guy, and this guy had cats all over, and I'm allergic to cats. I got through like half a long box, and I was like dying, sneezing, and I'm like, this is driving me nuts. I got like 15 to go, and I'm like, this I can't do this. What did this guy have the cats? He goes, oh, he had 7 cats sleeping on all this shit.
Oh.
Books stink like fucking cat, man. It's and these were some decent books, and like
cat pee.
Cat everywhere. I was like, you people. Yeah. What are you gonna do? It's Iowa. Sorry, Paul.
Tell you what I usually do though that helps get the smell out of the comics. If anybody doesn't like doing that, is when I get a raw comic, I open it to the centerfold and I just leave it out for like a day, 24 hours. I just open it to the centerfold and just leave it out, and the smell goes away mostly. But I mean, it's never going to go completely away. But it seems to freshen the book up when you do that.
There was the cigar store had those comics that they were all so yellow, like they're orange almost. They're all covered with cigar smoke. I forget, they're all those old barbershop cigar smokes. That is a pedigree you should go after. Some stank guitars, some stank cigar smell, and I like cigars, but not on my books. So, so good seeing everybody here in the chat. I see some more people joining us in here. Like I said, Hudak joined us here. Caleb's rocking and rolling in the chat as always. Good stuff. I was asking some of the new stuff that I've seen skyrocket is I don't see the end in sight for the pre-code horror. That's just driving everybody nuts. But one of the things I noticed in the last 2 auctions was the rise in earlier Batman. And we talked about it briefly when we were going through that 33 ending, and I looked at a few other ones. Did you see there's a lot more Batman all of a sudden hitting on these auctions now. I see a lot of Batman being available, early Batman, and I just saw a bunch for this preview. I think it's Comic Connect's preview has a ton of good Batman in there.
Yeah, the stuff where it says date not announced yet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, they have a Batman 1 that's legit great. So.
Yeah, I'm not sure why some of those Batman early issues. It's not that they're not expensive, but you can get like in the first 10 issues of Batman, you can get like a Batman 4 or Batman 6 in a reasonably decent unrestored grade, a nice copy, or cheaper than some pre-code horror books in a similar grade. And I don't get that because of one of the early Batmans, like a single-digit numbered Batman, should be more expensive than they are. I think those are good books. I think to invest in. I'm not a superhero collector, but I'm always struck by how cheap. It makes me think like Batman 5 or Batman 6. I think I could get like a 2.5 of that for not that expensive. It almost makes me want to pick one up.
It's one of the anomalies in this era of collecting books is what a lot of us think should be worth more isn't, and a lot of it that's overpriced. We don't really get why. We understand the key or the famous books, so to speak, but there are some that are just ridiculous. But other books that are looked over, like my big thing is I think Submariner is the cheapest hero to get right now. If somebody asks, well, I know you don't spec, but if there's any comic that you think is undervalued that has a chance to have a major peak, I'm like, it's definitely Submariner.
Well, his keys have gone too crazy right now.
Yeah, I mean, I know his second appearance. What's that cover? It's a Marvel. His first one we know is that bizarre one they handed out in the theaters or something that you won't find. That was a
picture Funnies Weekly.
Yeah.
And the cover was Marvel 1 with the back cover just sold for, I think, $15,000 on eBay.
Yep. Yeah, so you got to figure which one would be a Submariner early or first or second. the cover appearances, the
Well, the
submarine.
keys, yeah. The first cover appearance is Marvel Mystery 4, and
Right.
then his second appearance, well, cover appearance is a pretty expensive one. It's the battle issue between him and the Torch, and then you got his own comic, which is like a year or two after his number one, and that's I feel like it's being kind of monopolized right now because some people on eBay have several copies of it.
Yeah, but they haven't sold any of those copies yet. They're asking high prices and they're not selling them. So
Yeah.
that book's not worth as much as they think it is, and they're the only seller.
But he's one of those guys does that with a lot of books, and then he doesn't need the money, so he just keeps it there.
Some people.
Kind of blows when there's only like 20 of them, you know.
We're gonna get back to Subby in 1 second here. TJ asked about our guest. Our guest had to unfortunately back out, which is totally cool. We absolutely will have you on anytime. Open invitation. You let me know, Nate, whenever you want to join us. We'll be very happy to have you on. So that's that situation. Everybody else still chatting up there in the chat. Namor.
That's in the mail.
Was that? Oh, what'd you get? Let's see.
Looks like the new Hakes catalog.
Ooh, Hakes is a pretty good auction site. Do they have the high premium? Is that what they charge?
No,
Mm.
but books. I mean, it's surprising that books go pretty high there. I used to think like comics there were it was kind of a sneaky way to get a deal, and every now and then you can, but they definitely get a lot of money for their stuff. But yeah, you don't have to pay any weird fees like
I like
but they have a lot of stuff. I mean, yeah, it looks like they got they're getting more and more Golden Age each time they have an auction.
That's nice.
I remember looking into Hakes a couple of years ago, and I had the same idea as you. I was going to sneak in there and get some stuff cheap because nobody was going on Hakes auctions, and it wasn't going that cheap. But they didn't have really that good of a stuff. And then I think they started an Instagram feed, or I recently looked at them again after a couple of years, and they've got like major Golden Age.
They're a major advertiser on CGC.
Yeah, they've really picked up their game because a couple
They're
of
one
years
of the
ago, like
top
3
4.
nothing on there.
Yeah, I mean Hakes, Pedigree. Recently, I just saw a Nick from Key Collector Comics app. I just saw an ad for him on the CGC site. So Evan brought up Dr. Fate might be a good one.
Oh yeah,
About that. That'd be good. Very cool. So I think Namor is going to be one of the big ones for the coming up. I mean,
well, they think The Rock is gonna play him.
that's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking maybe I thought Namor was the first person. Then I thought Beta Ray Bill because he's wanted to do Guardians of the Galaxy, but they're not going to pay all that money and not have it and have his face CG, whatever. So I don't know. So it could be cool. But some other good stuff I was gonna chat up with anybody here is we talked about Rushmore, about who we'd want on there. What was mine and everything else. That was a good thing. One of the people brought up something that I didn't think about is what if if you had one run, like if you had to get it one series, so it's just Tales from the Crypt. That's all you can have. What would be your favorite one of the Golden Age? And you run. You'd have to choose one of your Golden Age passions and take that run. Which one would it be?
It'd have to be Captain America for me.
Captain America, good.
Yeah,
I think it would be the same for me.
Nice.
Yeah, I mean, mine would probably be Charlton's The Thing, and I do have a full run of
Good
it.
call. Yeah.
And, will probably be Chamber of Chills, and then probably the Blue Bolt run from LB Cole.
It's probably need to do like The Mask or something. Yeah.
My secondary would probably be Planet Comics.
Ooh.
Yeah, that's a good one too.
That's a.
I actually would do Jumbo just to have the first one, which is everything else, first Kirby work, and then have all the other ones that are in there, which are, just great jumbo comics. Just
Yeah,
every
and you got all the artists too. So you got Lou Fine covers, you got Will Eisner covers, you got Zolnarowicz, you got.
wrong with jumbo. That would be mine by
I would
choice.
pick the Mask run, but that's only 2 books. I feel like that's not
Yeah.
really a run. But
That-
that would be like a $15,000 run in low grade right now.
Yeah.
That's a
It's a
major
hell of a run. Yeah,
run.
more than all of Voodoo was like 4 years ago.
Plus, I also have to give an honorable mention to All Star Comics. First team ever.
Yeah. How many issues is that though?
Well, if you include it was like 58.
Okay. Well, that's pretty cool. We'll see what anybody else put in there. Wonder Woman, that's a good one. Pep Comics, the Archie stuff.
Yeah.
Definitely a good call. Sensational Comics, Caleb. Okay, well, you got a bunch of weird ones in there too. That's good. I was showing. Do you see that weird cover I showed you guys? Was that Sensation 37? The Deans. What the hell was that? It's a
I don't know.
midget on a sardine can. It's weird.
Since Knights of Old is going to get all the Captain Americas, I guess I'll for my timely run, I'll say Marvel Mystery.
Oh, that was my second.
That's right. That's deep into his heart right there.
We could just swap.
Yeah,
Every 5 years.
we'll do a little sharing. You know.
I would do a Marvel Mystery Run too, and I would want all of the non-World War II covers.
Deal.
I'm serious. Those are my favorite ones, really. I'm not into the World War II covers. I know it's the best ones, but
Why do you hate World War II so much?
I don't hate it. It just doesn't do it for me. I mean, there's a guy on Instagram who collects Golden Age World War II covers, not just timelies, but anything, MLJ, all kinds of stuff. And he's got some really killer books, and he's got a great collection. And he's just really into the World War II covers. And I appreciate those books, but out of his collection, there's a couple that I see that I'm like, oh, I want to get that one. But most of them I don't. And that spans all the titles, not just Marvel Mystery. So it's not just the timelies. It's just I'm not into the war themes, or the superheroes.
Hey, it's totally cool.
I like creepy, dark stuff. I mean, that's what
man. He's the one. He's the therapist's dream. You're an all American kid over there. So one of the that's a great point. I saw some other guys in the chat did some Planet Comics. They'd love that. All American would be a killer run. I mean,
I'd like to have all of the adventure comics when they were new adventure comics.
Oh yeah,
early ones.
Those are good.
Yeah, like was it 44 issues or something like that? I can't remember.
yeah. Then you get you get the Sandman. You get all those.
Yeah. You get all those
definitely-
covers and all that Craig Flessel.
You get good adventure comics. That's a hidden gem right there. That's a good run.
I've always been a bigger fan of All American Adventure and more fun than like action and detective.
I know a lot of people that say action and Superman, adventure was everybody else. You know, was better writing, and you couldn't mess with the brand with Superman, so you kept that.
The All American Adventure and More Fun, those are the ones that were owned by Gaines, right?
Yeah, Gaines. Well, More Fun was you had. Well, what was the police story? You had the Plastic Man, and then what was the one that More Fun was Spectre, and who was the other one?
Dr. Fate.
Fate
And also Aquaman and Green.
Green
Right.
Arrow.
and Hawkman, right?
No, Hawkman was Flash in Flash Comics.
He was Flash Comics.
Who I thought Hawkman and Aquaman's first appearance were the same.
No, Green. I think
First was Flash #1.
Green
Okay.
Lantern was More Fun also.
No, Green Lantern was All American.
All American with Aquaman.
No.
I
More
don't know
fun.
the superhero stuff.
More fun.
There was one key book. I thought we saw
Yeah.
Hawkman.
73. More
In
fun.
Silver Age, the showcase had Green Arrow and Hawkman, or Aquaman and Hawkman.
More fun 73. Golden Age, first appearance of Aquaman and Green Lantern. I mean Green Arrow, sorry.
Green Arrow. Okay.
I'll tell you another run that
And they weren't even on the cover.
I would love to have Detective Comics run from 1 to 26. Only no.
Some
There's some
amazing
good ones.
Lasso covers there.
There's there's that the guy in the red coat cover that's kind of well known.
Oh,
Three.
he had one cover after Batman started. Crimson
Yeah.
Avenger.
Yeah, Crimson Avenger.
Yeah, once Batman gets into it, then I lose interest in the text.
See, I lose interest when Robin shows up.
Oh, so you're good. So I'll do 1 to 26. You do 27 to 37.
Yep.
Yeah.
And
Hey, as long as it includes 31, I'm good.
yeah, well, yeah, I want 31 though. I want 1 through 26 and then
Hey,
31.
come on. You would love that one. I mean, that's a PCH cover. I don't
That's
care what anybody says.
That's like a noir horror cover for me.
I mean, yeah, that is. I mean, if you look at all the times it's been used over and over again, not just in Batman, but in Tomb of Dracula. Obviously, Gene Colan used that for number. Which one is that? 23, I think it is. Yep, and it's been used over and over again from. I mean, we showed different variations of it. Neil Adams did it, obviously, pretty famously done. So, Detective One, there's a lot of more fun. First appearance, origin of Aquaman. Nice, Comics Myths Explained. And thank you, by the way, Knightswell. You were right the whole time. Hawkman first is Flash One. That's
I used to want that book, and then it went insane because of the TV.
yeah.
Of the Green Arrow TV show. Jesus.
I never watched any of that, so sorry.
I'll show you my favorite Detective Comics cover here. I don't even know. I don't have any of these, but what is it? It looks like 18 is my favorite. And it's this one. It's sort of like a, I don't know, noir, got an oriental sort of flavor to it. It's like a
Okay, yeah, that's what a lot of early ones were. They had a lot of that, like that. It was like Japanese let's be honest, it's pre-World War II.
Yeah.
And it's very
Yellow Peril stuff.
yeah. What do you got there?
It's Flash Comics number 1.
Yep, okay. Yeah.
Yeah, well, it's only the cover.
That's all right.
It is.
It is one.
You want to talk about an undervalued book? All Flash number 1.
Yeah, that is.
Oh yeah.
That book's pretty cheap too. You can get like a 4.0 for like $3,000 or $2,500.
Yep. They said I read an article. They were talking specifically about it, and they said they kind of painted themselves in the corner by doing Flash comics, have him and Hawkman and all these other people, and then Detective got Batman and Action got Superman, and when it came to Flash, they were like, well, we've already got Flash comics.
It's true.
I got this back from CGC.
Oh, how did
Flash 1.
There it is.
Before just pick it up, I've actually checked it out, and I just never bought one. But I keep my eye on that because I think it's a good investment book.
good for you? The 2.5 blue. That was what I wanted to see.
This was so I was happy with the grade because I thought it was going to be restored.
What's the qualify?
It's just married cover, so complete married cover. So that's pretty good. But I wasn't too thrilled with the large case.
What I've never. Why are you putting it in magazine size?
Well, because it's got bad spine roll.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
They
So
said they will do that with a.
Okay.
I mean, I could have got it pressed, but I was thinking I was going to sell it because I was thinking it was going to be restored. But now that I came back as green, now I want to keep it.
Yeah, I really think they should change their grading standards with regard to married, because if you have a married piece to a book, the book is complete, but the cover might have come from another copy, but it's a complete book and they give it a green always, no matter what the grade is. If it's married, anything married. But you can have an incomplete book and still get a blue label, like a 1.5, and it's missing something and it's incomplete, but it's still a blue label. Now, you know one is complete and one's not, but the label colors make a big difference in the market with prices. And, giving an incomplete book a blue label and then giving a complete book a non-blue label seems unfair to me somehow.
Well, they'll still give, yeah, that's true. But some incompletes I mean, I don't think an incomplete
story or something like that. A
will
lot of
ever
times,
get more than 25.
um,
Well, I mean, I've seen incompletes at 2.0. You can have up to a 2.0 in an incomplete book.
Oh, I don't know if I've seen that.
Yeah.
one thing I kind of think
Not blue.
I kind of like the married. When you got to Frankenstein a book together, if it's a classic or something like that, because like I said, my buddy found a beautiful white pages kept in plastic, Witches Tales 25, but he needs the bell cover. He just needs the cover, and I said, let's look for some green labels, man.
Yep.
And all you want is that cover to put with that beautiful, because every other page in that book is there because it was at a store in Minnesota, Paul. You believe this? At what do you call it? A grocery store in Minnesota, or a pharmacy, where the guy put all pre-code horror stuff up in his window for Halloween one year as a decoration.
Oh God.
He took all the covers off, and it was like 1950. He did it every year for Halloween. So whatever books didn't sell, he was putting them on the, ripping the cover off and using them as decorations. It was great. I heard the whole story from these guys. I'm like, really? And if you ever go to the Minnesota Cons, that's that pre-code horror collection, Paul, where they're all missing the covers, and you just go through them, and it's great. I mean, because it's like $15, $20, because they just need to get rid of them. So.
Well, I think that's one thing that used to be cheap. Like not even 5 years ago, you could buy covers of ebooks for cheap, but now it seems like
covers have gone through the roof.
Yeah.
Just tell you what I think would be a good idea if you had you'd have to lay out some money for it. If you had a coverless book and you found a copy with a double cover, you could take the cover off, have two complete copies, and one would be married and one would be not. Yeah.
How did double covers happen a lot with any of your publications that you've like in the pre-code horror? Because Fiction House didn't have a lot of it, and that's a lot of what I do. Fox didn't have a lot of double covers.
Yeah,
Fox,
there's some. I mean, they're not. Well, I mean, they're not common at all. But I mean, there's a few. Yeah, I see them regularly. I mean, I see them as often as you would expect a rare thing to be seen, but it's not like they're a ghost. I mean, I see one, every couple months I'll see one, or probably every month somebody will show one on Instagram or on eBay or something. Yeah, it's not as rare as it might people might think.
I wonder if it's a specific company, a publisher that might have had that double cover thing, because obviously Marvel did a lot more than DC in the Bronze Age and stuff like that. Just double covers on. Why is it always on like War of the Worlds 35? A Kill Raven story, but it's never on like I got a double cover on, Action or Spider-Man 1 or something.
I've never owned a double cover.
Just so happens I didn't know they were double cover, and somebody said, "Hey, I have that War of the Worlds 35. First Kill Raven is my double cover." And I was like, it's a 9/8 both ways. Who gives a fuck?
There is one book. I mean, there's a couple books they used like in the Golden Age where they would print the interior would be a reprint of some other comic with a new cover, or they would use leftover covers or leftover interiors to go to save paper. They would use covers from the last issue on the next issue, and it's got the same cover but new interior. Or they would mix and match. There's one that has 3 different interiors under this cover, and one of them is a Detective 168. So, yeah, and it's I can't remember the name of it. It's got like a turtle, a tortoise or something, green turtle or something.
Well, I know what you're talking about.
It's got like a turtle on the front, and they used that cover over 3 different interiors, and one of the interiors that they used on was a Tech 168. So if you see that in the wild, check it out, because in there, if you find a Tech 168 interior, you got a gem, because you can't tell from the cover that it's anything.
Wow, that's good stuff.
I can't remember the name of it, though. TJ probably knows. I think we talked about it.
Yeah, TJ might know. One of the things I was going to ask Paul was, being that you've done a lot of the artist reviews, and everybody should definitely check out Paul's artist reviews. I say it all the time. When you would going through those guys like the Russ Heath, and we all agree we love Russ Heath. Did you find the research you had to do was making you lean towards, now I got to go get that book? Because that's what happens with me.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I'm sitting there and particularly, I mean, I go to these artists because I love their work, and some of their stuff is already on my want list. But then you'll find some cover you've never seen before, and you're like, "Holy crap! I need this in my life now."
Yeah, I was wondering if anybody else has ever discovered something. Like I discovered an artist that I have a few here and there, and I'm just like, it's different. It does mostly interiors, so it'd be getting books I can get that I can open and stuff like that. But finding them are hard to find. So
Yeah, here it is. All right, so this has sometimes a Batman 108, sometimes an Action 181, and sometimes a Tech 168. And it's Blazing Comics number 5, and it looks like that. And this one is an 8.5. The interior is Tech 168, so a really nice copy of Tech 168's interior. And the asking price for this one, simply because of that, is $11,000.
But that's not even a DC book, right?
No, it's not. That's what I'm saying. I don't know what.
So it could have been at the printing, and I wonder if it's because I know Canada had like one printer for a lot of their stuff back then. So
There's a bunch of them on eBay. One of them has Action 181. One of them has a Web of Evil 2 in it.
Enrich covers, is that right?
Huh?
Hang on, I think people are there.
It's an Enwill comic.
Okay.
Yeah, and they did that a couple times. They did a book that I have. I think I might even have it here. Yeah. They did this one. This is an Enwill Red Band, and they just used the same cover for issues 2 and 3. Same exact cover.
Okay, so sometimes you get a different interior.
Yeah, so they recycled stuff a lot at Enwill apparently, and they got a bunch of DC stuff that they put in that Blazing Comics 5.
I would like to point out that's the second Raw comic DS has had today.
Nice.
I got a whole stack of Raw comics. I have Raw comics. They are just Raw because they have yet to be graded.
Bradford 6 right there. That's a beaut. Congrats on that again. We showed it last time, but I'd still say it's
this one. Yeah, I got it out because I'm about to read it tonight.
that is one of the
Read them.
Yeah, I read them, and then I get them cleaned and pressed, and then I get them slapped, and that's it.
I started reading some.
Here's one, speaking of double covers, it's not Golden Age, but I just bought this at a con like a few years ago, just for a dollar bin. It was just a book that I used to have as a kid, but I got rid of. And then when I got it home and read it, I opened it up, bam,
Double cover.
I was like, oh my God. I thought I won the lottery or something, because I never ever had one. So, but that was pretty cool.
See, Marvel and Marvel.
Not a bad book to have a double cover of too. It's a pretty cool cover.
Yeah, it is cool.
Yeah,
Is that a cover? Who's
that's
Ron
Ron
Lim?
But it
Ron
reminds me a lot of this.
Poor man's George Perez has
It reminds me of the Starlin.
Jim Starlin, Strange Tales 178.
Yeah, I've never
I've
never had a double cover. I've never held one in my hands to consider buying it. I've never come across one. And again, that's an oddity type thing that I wouldn't shell out extra for. And honestly, if I had a book that I found out had a double cover, I would sell it and get one with a regular, just single cover, and keep the profit. So I wouldn't even keep it even if I got one. So probably that's why God has not bestowed one upon me, because I would just flip it anyway.
I think people like them because CGC bases the grade on the inside cover, which is usually in better shape.
It always is a better, yeah. I mean, when you don't see double covers in the ones, they're always pretty. Some like it'll say 9 outside 9.6, inside 9.8, grades in 9.8. So there's a few of them out there. I wonder if there's double covers. A bunch of them misprinting. That was cool. Good
I
stuff.
never heard of a timely double cover.
No,
Never heard.
Atlas has no, but it's weird because Marvel free superheroes, some of them, a lot of them do. The Journeys, a lot of Journeys, a lot of Astonishing, but they're like 58, 59 around that time. Yeah, the free superhero Marvel, a lot of those things got double covers. Because I see those a lot of times. People, we're not saying a lot like it's like every day, but you'll see those around. So
Somebody on Instagram not too long ago found a really killer Golden Age book with a double cover. He bought it and he was going through it and he opened it up and it was double cover, but I can't remember what book it was. I'm gonna try to find it.
Chad 90, Golden Age is 90. He'll like that. He opened up. He had a double cover of a Hulk 102.
Wow,
Yeah,
that's cool.
that's nice. It's a cool one to have.
So, what do you guys think of the oversized slab? Would it drive you crazy, and you'd want to get it
I have
pressed?
them in my magazines are oversized.
Yeah, that would drive me crazy.
It would.
This is oversized.
I would almost rather sell a book raw than send it in and get an oversized slab. That's how much I hate oversized slabs.
Oversized slab belongs on oversized books.
Yeah, I mean, but if you get something from like 1940 that's got a really bad spine roll that's extended the width of the book like a quarter of an inch,
Yep.
you're screwed because 1940 books barely fit in those slabs anyway.
Yep.
If you have even the slightest spine roll or like an overwrap a little bit or something, I mean, they're already tight in those slabs as they are. So,
But if I get that pressed and then re-slabbed, I mean, that's almost like $1,000.
yeah. Plus, if it's low grade, I mean, there's risks to
Yeah.
and realigning the spine on a beat book like that could be very risky.
Yeah.
I mean,
Oh, absolutely.
Would you do it, Paul?
I'd have to see the book.
That's what all the pressers said to me.
I mean, I've got
Well,
my five is like that, and I've showed it to a couple people who press, and they were like, "Yeah, I wouldn't do it. I think you should not mess with it." And it's got a spine roll that could be realigned. It's a 2.5. It's attached, off-white pages, but a couple of pressers that do it professionally have told me don't mess with it. It's not worth the risk.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean,
And
I turned
pressure-
out,
They said either it's not worth it, or I need to see it in my hands, or sure, $30.
Go to the t-shirt guy. Yeah.
I turned down doing an AF-15 because it had a wicked spine roll, but the pages were brittle. I'm like, I won't touch that.
And you were gentle with my Strange Tales 110.
Yes, because
Very gentle with Doctor Strange.
And I heard of a story, even CSS or whatever the CGC presser calls themselves, like splitting a book from pressing an old.
They do.
it literally can happen on any book. I mean, like his Strange Tales, I looked at it and I said, this staple is way too dodgy for me to do a hardcore press on this. But I've had it happen with books that I've had it happen on newer books. Just
CCS, thanks.
there's some structural defect that you can't see. And
Yeah, I mean, it happened to 3 out of 15 books that I sent to CCS, and 2 were near mint bronze books. One was a Golden Age Chamber of Chills that was like a 6.0 with off-white pages, and they detached and fully split the cover on that one. The other two just detached the covers, but those were near mint bronze, like a Tech 400 and a Tech 405 in like 9.2. And they popped the covers off both of them, along with the Chamber of Chills, which I don't know if you saw that, JD.
I did. My buddy bought it. He likes it. But
Yeah, I mean, it's a clean split. It's like there's a front
Yeah.
cover and a back cover, and then the interior, and it's a clean split, and it's
Yeah.
it's beautiful.
it's not frayed in any way, in any shape.
No.
So it was good. I mean, he loves it. It's a great book. He appreciated it. It was good. I want to share something before we go. I know you're a big Steranko fan.
Yeah.
Back from CGC finally. So this was I gave this to Jim Steranko to sign. It's Jim Steranko's first work at Marvel, and he signed it beautifully right there.
Nice.
That's kind of
That's
cool.
awesome.
I ended up getting an 8.5, and this was a book I found in the wild. But the cool thing is, like he even said, he goes, "Man, this is a nicer copy than I have. Why'd your copy nicer than mine?" I have, and he looked at it. He's like, "See, that's a sin right there." And he signed his own, but he was signing good stuff. But yep, first Jim Steranko work at Marvel. I did George Perez's too. Might as well show you that. I don't know if you're a big George Perez fan. According to Drew Manchu, George Perez is a poor man's Ron Lim. That was pretty funny line. That was pretty funny. He just doesn't like him. This is his first work, another $6 book.
He doesn't like him because he didn't get in the line at C2E2.
Right, we were in the line, Paul. We got our book signed by George Perez.
Well, we were lucky because we got in line 40 minutes before the convention even opened.
That's true. Yeah, we were like 10. We didn't really have to wait. We had
I
one.
wonder if DS could explain to me the process with the CCS if you want restoration removal, because there's just a few steps that I'm a little iffy about, and they don't really talk about it.
From my understanding, I've talked to them on the phone and via email, and I've read their website, and I've sent one book so far in for resto removal, and I was pleased with it. But essentially, you should tell them what's the resto that needs to be removed unless you send them the slab that says it. It's obvious. And they told me they will get back to you if there's any other issues or before they proceed with the work, if they find anything that could be problematic. They do like a pre-screen of it, and they'll get back to you if there's anything that was unanticipated or it could be a problem or some type of other issue. But if you send something that has color touch and that's all it is and that's where it was, they'll just do it and take care of it. But if you send them color touch and they say, well, there's some glue here or this tear seal, or we can remove this glue, but it will detach the cover, do you still want us to do it? Like, they'll get back to you if there's other concerns.
So it's like you send it in and you say, hey, I think there's restoration on this, or maybe you know some or whatever, and then they say, all right, and it'll cost this much for us to look at it, and then you wait whatever 2 months or something, and then they send you an email and say, we found this and this and this, and then will they list getting this removed will cost this much, this removed cost this much, and then you wait another 6 months.
The CCS, the restoration removal, costs X number of dollars. And if you send in something and you say there's color touch I want removed, it costs X number of dollars. If they also find glue, they'll be like, hey, we also found glue on the staples. We can remove that. It might detach the cover. Do you want us to do it? You can say yes or no. Either way, it's still the same cost. It's whatever it costs to get the restoration removal, whatever's on there. So it doesn't matter if they find more or they don't charge you more.
If it's a tiny piece of glue, it costs the same as like a shit ton of glue or a crap ton of glue.
And just
I
remember,
didn't catch all that you said.
Oh, I just wondered if it was the same price for like a tiny piece of glue or a big glob of glue, whatever.
Yeah, I think it's the same price for restoration removal. When I sent in a book that had a small amount of color touch, and it was like a thumbnail amount of color touch by the staple, and that was it.
And how much did that cost?
Full price of what it was. How much did it cost? Is that what you're asking? I don't know. I mean, it's if you go look under their services and fees, CCS, restoration removal, it's whatever it costs. I think it's
okay.
$30 or $40 or $50. I can't remember how much it is. It's based on the book too. Same with grading fees. Whatever it is, what it is.
But it takes a real long time, right?
I mean, the resto removal process takes as long as the grading for whatever tier the book is. I sent a pre-code book in. The resto removal took the same amount of time as the grading. So it basically doubled the turnaround from, I had resto removal and grading. It was double turnaround essentially. So yeah, it's not quick. And then if you also have CCS press it, they will do the resto removal and then they will put it in the queue for pressing and cleaning. And that adds to the turnaround time, and then they'll grade it. So you know, I've had books. I think that book I did that. I had resto removal, clean and press, and grading, and it was 5.5 months for a Golden Age book. Which, you know, it is what it is.
Look at them.
Sort of a long time, but I mean, I had a lot done to it, and something I'm keeping forever. So you know, I don't get I'm not one of those collectors that freaks out about turnaround times. I don't really care. I send it in, and then
That's what I-
whatever it takes.
Yeah, I was just saying, I kept that CGC box for like 8 days. I didn't really. I was more. When I opened up, I got a 7.85. I thought I was getting a 7.75, but whatever. That's what it is. But I've used their pressing. I've heard the horror stories, but I've had good stories with them. I mean, they did take a book that I read about 5 or 6 times at least, cover to cover, folding, I'm sure, to a 9.6, and I was beyond shocked at that. So I'm like, you guys are miracle workers. But that was a modern book from 1988, so you figure it out. One of the other things I wanted to bring up really quick before we close, anybody have anything coming up on their channels? Comic Core tomorrow night will be unlimited. Thursday, the Swamp Thing, and Friday, Off the Rails.
Now that I'm getting better, I'm hoping to get rolling again on videos for mine.
Yep. There's a great video there I recommend, contest video. I'll be doing it right now. It's Bear Island Comics. I'll be doing one of his videos very soon. Thanks you everybody in the chat. Appreciate it. Thank you for being a friend. Had a great time. Thank you.